Hi, I just wanted to tell you that Chevy won a J.D. Power Dependability Award. J.D. Power Dependability Awards across cars, trucks, and SUVs. Most dependable, most dependable, most dependable, most dependable, dependability, most dependable, most dependable, most dependable, most dependable.
J.D. Power, the award that automakers love to brag about winning. But what are these awards? Do they really mean anything? Are they bought? Who can you even trust? Me. To get some answers, I went to the smartest place on the internet, Reddit. The first result I found was titled, "Are J.D. Power Awards mostly bullshit?" And the top answer was yes. So thanks for watching WheelHouse. Click that yellow subscribe button right there. Just kidding. According to this user, car companies pay J.D. Power for the awards and even pay hefty amounts to do surveys. With 350 upvotes, it couldn't be wrong. These things are paid off. Saying that automakers pay J.D. Power in exchange for awards is a pretty serious accusation. And to see if it's true, we have to start at the beginning. First off, who the heck is J.D. Power? Some random dude with an awesome name? Well, kind of. Dave Power was a guy in the auto biz with a sick name. He had worked in Ford's tractor division as a dealer auditor, and then worked for a firm called McCann Erickson, one of the biggest ad agencies in the world. Then, in 1968, he went into business for himself. Dave believed that he knew the automotive industry better than anyone out west and would use his market research experience to start his own firm. He called it J.D. Power and Associates. The J was for his wife Julie, and the associates were his kids. In the beginning, J.D. Power's business was basically completely done through the mail. Dave and his wife would send new car owners a survey asking a ton of questions about their new car and their experiences with it. And then hopefully the owners would mail the surveys back. It took a few years, but J.D. Power finally saw their first big trend in 1973. Mazda started selling their R100 in the early 70s. It was a weird little compact car powered by a weird little rotary engine. Turns out, it was a little too weird. New owners told J.D. Power that a ton of their R100s were breaking down. A fifth of owners reported that an O-ring gasket had failed under 50,000 miles of driving. That's a pretty insane failure rate. So, what did J.D. Power do with this information? Well, he wrote a report, and that report made it to the Wall Street Journal, who published it in their paper. Mazda wasn't very stoked about being put on blast like that, but it was very useful consumer information. Information that they wouldn't have otherwise had. Everyone knows information is power, so Mazda became one of J.D. Power's first customers, the first of many. Selling their survey findings to automakers became the cornerstone of J.D. Power. Not only that, J.D. Power also consulted with brands on how to make their cars better so they could get better survey results. So, going back to that Reddit thread, the top answer was at least half right. Car companies do pay a hefty amount for survey results, but J.D. Power doesn't conduct them on the manufacturer's behalf. But there's still the question of the awards being paid for. So let's keep on digging, gumshoes. That means detective in grandpa talk. The Mazda story launched J.D. Power onto the national stage. They were one of the only independent firms collecting real customer feedback for the automotive industry. All of a sudden, automakers wanted to know, what did J.D. Power know? In the decades since, J.D. Power has become a household name in automotive market research. But what exactly do they research, and how? You've probably heard of J.D. Power's initial quality survey. Right now, Chevy really likes to remind people that they have a ton of IQS awards.
At the end of the day, there's only one full-size pickup that's best in initial quality.
Frankly, it sounds like an oxymoron. Any new car should win the initial quality survey because any new car should have good initial quality because it's new. Well, the initial quality survey looks at things that break or malfunction and also looks at problems owners have that are built into the car, like a new infotainment system or ergonomics that don't make sense. Anything that people don't like about their new cars within the first 90 days of ownership is given equal consideration in the initial quality survey. So that means a blown transmission is given the same weight as small cup holders. I'm not gonna act like that's not weird, because it is. It might not make sense to us, but It does make sense for car companies who want to know how their new car experience stacks up against their competition, because they're in the business of selling new cars. J.D. Power also has a lesser-known quality survey that looks at long-term ownership. Their vehicle dependability study looks at problems original owners have with their cars within the first 3 years of ownership and are published after that period. According to an overview of the 2018 dependability study published back in February, the biggest problems with cars built in 2015 are voice recognition systems and Bluetooth connectivity. And remember, it's possible that these systems aren't broken, but that people just don't know how to use them. Mom. The vehicle dependability study looks at problems per 100 vehicles, with Lexus leading the way at 99 problems per 100. That's less than 1 problem per vehicle, that's the lowest. That means other automakers have more than 100 problems per 100 vehicles. More than 1 per vehicle, that's crazy. And that has earned Lexus their 7th J.D. Power VDS win in a row. So the long-term vehicle dependability study makes a little more sense, but it's not a bulletproof consumer guide. Like I mentioned before, things like infotainment systems, which take just a tad of tech know-how to use, can affect a vehicle score, and that doesn't necessarily reflect how good a car is. Brands can make jumps in both of J.D. Power's rankings by just making their cars easier to use. As noted in the Car and Driver article, The Problem with J.D. Power's Initial Quality Study, Ford took a huge slide in the rankings because they introduced 2 new models and refreshed another. And all the little bugs present in those first gens were reflected in the surveys, even though the cars themselves were still pretty good. So what is a car buyer to do? Well, luckily J.D. Power isn't the only game in town. Consumer Reports has been around since 1932. That's a lot longer than J.D. Power, and they have a super strict policy when it comes to reviewing anything. Consumer Reports buys everything they test, including cars, to stay impartial. And to go a step further, they won't even let companies use their reviews in advertising. To prove it, Consumer Reports sued a floor care company that mentioned Consumer Reports in a commercial back in the 80s. I mean, honestly, that's pretty gangster. So how does Consumer Reports differ from J.D. Power? Well, instead of looking at the first 90 days of ownerships like J.D. Power's Initial Quality Survey, or the first 3 years like J.D. Power's Vehicle Dependability Survey, Consumer Reports sends out a survey to all their CR magazine and online members, then tabulates the feedback on about 500,000 vehicles. That's a lot. Their survey asks the owner to report any serious issues they've had with the car within the last 12 months. Problems caused by accidents or recalls aren't included. They also ask the owner to describe the major problems in writing so the publication can tell readers if multiple owners are having similar problems with their cars. Right now, Consumer Reports is collecting data on cars built between 2000 and 2018. And last year, they got between 200 and 400 responses per car model. So their sample size is pretty good. In case you were curious, Consumer Reports published their annual 10 best list in February, with the Lexus GS SUV topping the list for most reliable car, and on the opposite end of the scale was the Ram 3500, which I have to admit as a Dodge guy, hurts. So is one consumer research group better than the other? I don't really think so, but I can see why people see it differently. Consumer Reports is a non-profit organization which goes to extreme lengths to remain impartial. They don't even sell advertising space inside their magazine, which is pretty much how every other magazine in the world makes money. Their revenue comes from subscribers who use CR to make decisions about buying other products. On the other hand is J.D. Power, who instead of relying on subscribers, makes money by selling the information consumers give them directly to automakers. So, how about that claim that automakers pay J.D. Power for awards? Does it have any truth to it? It might seem like that's the case because so many cars are J.D. Power winners, but that's because they have a bunch of categories which I will now list in one breath. Small SUV, small premium SUV, small car, small premium car, compact SUV, compact premium SUV, compact car, compact premium car, midsize premium car, midsize sporty car, midsize pickup, midsize SUV, midsize premium SUV, large light duty pickup, large heavy duty pickup, minivan, large SUV, large car, and large premium car. I actually did that. Unlike Consumer Reports, J.D. Power does allow car companies to use their name in their advertising, as we've all seen. But there's a catch. If you want to mention your J.D. Power award, you gotta pay J.D. Power. So who do you trust? Well, anyone you want, now that you know what their awards mean. Now, if you excuse me, I just won an award for the biggest head. Well, that was pretty interesting, wasn't it? How would you like to make a video just like that?
Hey, buddy guy, why are you like in my chair? I'm not finished with this yet.
Skillshare is here to help. You can learn how to use Adobe Premiere Pro, the same software we use to edit our videos from the comfort of your own home. What do you think about that, Zach?
This isn't even Premiere. This is actually After Effects, but you can learn that there too.
Guess I gotta get learning. Check out this Skillshare class by Jordy Vandeput. It's a 19-part series that teaches you everything you need to know to get up to speed on Adobe Premiere. I remember watching this guy way back in high school, and he knows what he's talking about. Skillshare has over 25,000 classes in design, business, and more if editing isn't your thing. You can pick up a new skill as a hobby or use Skillshare to jumpstart a new career. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. Join more than 7 million other creators learning a new skill with Skillshare. The first 500 people to use the link in the description will get a free 2-month trial. So hit that link, it really helps us out. Thank you very much. Skillshare. Hey, we got new shirts in stock on the donut store. This is just one of them. Thanks for watching WheelHouse. We look at the weird stuff in and around the car world every week, so hit that yellow subscribe button that's right around here. Make sure you watch last episodes of WheelHouse right here, and this episode of Science Garage. Be nice. I'll see you next time. I feel like I have a weird face.